Arsenal booked their place in the EFL Cup final after edging Chelsea 1-0 on the night, completing a 4-2 aggregate victory. The win marked Mikel Arteta's 10th victory over Chelsea, making the Blues the team he has beaten more than any other in his managerial career. It also kept him as the only manager to have defeated Liam Rosenior's Chelsea. The match itself was finely balanced, with both managers clearly prioritizing defensive control. Arsenal and Chelsea recorded just 2 shots on target each, highlighting the cagey nature of the contest. Chelsea finished with 14 shots overall, most of which came in the second half, but Arteta's men were comfortable sitting deep and protecting their away advantage. Rosenior set Chelsea up in a 3-5-2 formation, a notable shift from their usual 4-2-3-1. The absence of natural wingers limited Chelsea's attacking width and creativity, an issue that ultimately worked against them. In contrast, Arteta stuck to his trusted 4-3-3, with Ebereki Eze starting in midfield after Martin Odegaard was ruled out through injury. In the first half, Chelsea deployed a 3-5-2 formation, a structure that had a major influence on how they built from the back. In possession, Chelsea formed a back three of Jarell Hato, Trevoh Chalobah, and Wesley Fofana, giving them stability against Arsenal's first line of pressure. On the left, Marc Cucurella pushed high and wide, effectively acting as a winger while Enzo Fernandez moved into advanced central areas, positioning himself just behind João Pedro. The width on the right was provided by Liam Delap. One of the most interesting tactical details was Malo Gusto's role. Rather than pushing high as a traditional wingback, Gusto often stayed deeper during the initial build-up, operating on the same line as Moises Caicedo and André Santos. For large spells of the first half, he occupied the right half space alongside Enzo, with only occasional rotations with Delap. These movements altered Chelsea's structure from a 3-5-2 on paper into a 3-3-3-1, or at times a 3-2-4-1 when Gusto inverted to help form a midfield box. Gusto's positioning created a dilemma for Arsenal's left side. Piero Hincapié was frequently forced to choose between stepping out to engage Gusto or staying tight to Delap. For most of the match, Hincapié prioritized Delap. If Declan Rice moved across to press Gusto, he risked drifting too far away from Martin Zubimendi, which would open central gaps and passing lanes into João Pedro. As a result, during the early phases of Chelsea's build-up, Gusto was often the free player. To counter this, Arteta set Arsenal up in a 4-2-4 pressing structure whenever Chelsea began their build-up. Arsenal's front four pressed the back three while Rice and Zubimendi positioned themselves in the half spaces to track Enzo's runs and screen central access. The press, however, was deliberately controlled rather than aggressive. Arsenal were willing to allow Chelsea's backline time on the ball, focusing instead on blocking passing lanes into Caicedo, André Santos, and Gusto. This approach gave Chelsea plenty of possession but very little penetration or progression through central areas. With Chelsea struggling to advance cleanly through the middle, they increasingly looked to bypass Arsenal's press with long balls, particularly toward Delap on the right. However, Delap's lack of pace and dribbling threat meant he rarely got the better of Hincapié, and most of these passes were either comfortably defended or forced backwards. Seeing that Chelsea were unable to progress effectively, Liam Rosenior made a tactical and personnel change around the 60th minute, introducing Cole Palmer, Estevão, and Alejandro Garnacho. This shift moved Chelsea from a 3-5-2 into a more familiar 4-2-3-1. The new structure immediately improved their attacking combinations, with Estevão, Palmer, and João Pedro finding each other more frequently between the lines and increasing Chelsea's shot volume. Despite the improved fluency, it did not translate into any clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities. Majority of Chelsea's shots came from the left flank, with almost all of them taken from outside the box as shown here. This pattern underlines their difficulty in creating meaningful chances and consistently accessing dangerous central areas. When Arsenal were in possession, they built mainly through their center-backs, William Saliba and Gabriel, while Piero Hincapié and Jurrien Timber pushed higher and wider as they stepped into midfield zones. This positioning was key, as it allowed Arsenal to maintain width while also creating numerical stability in the middle of the pitch. With both fullbacks stepping inside, Eberechi Eze was free to advance higher up the pitch, forming a three-man attacking line with Gabriel Martinelli and Noni Madueke behind Victor Gyökeres. The intention behind this structure was clear. Arsenal wanted to create short passing options during the build-up and progress the ball patiently, drawing Chelsea out of their defensive shape before attacking the space left behind. This approach suited the profiles of Martinelli and Madueke, both of whom possessed the pace to threaten Chelsea's backline once space opened up. At the same time, the presence of both fullbacks in midfield ensured Arsenal stretched Chelsea horizontally without becoming outnumbered centrally. Chelsea responded by adopting an aggressive man-oriented pressing approach. João Pedro led the press by engaging Arsenal's centre-backs, while Delap was tasked with pressing Hincapié. André Santos frequently stepped higher to press Timber, and Marc Cucurella stayed tight to Madueke to deny him time and space on the ball. Malo Gusto was responsible for pressing Martinelli on the flank, while Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo focused on limiting Arsenal's double pivot of Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice. Behind them, Chalobah, Hato, and Fofana stayed compact and physical to prevent Gyökeres from receiving freely between the lines. At times, this pressing structure caused Chelsea's shape to resemble a 5-3-2. With a back five, Chelsea were able to press Arsenal's wide players more aggressively without leaving the gaps that had previously hurt them, such as against West Ham, where space appeared when Hato pushed too high and Chelsea became stretched. This adjustment helped Chelsea contain Arsenal for long spells. To progress the ball more efficiently, Arteta introduced a subtle build-up rotation. One of Arsenal's pivots would drop deeper to receive and help circulate possession. When Rice dropped, Zubimendi held his position in midfield, while Eze would drop slightly to maintain numerical balance. If Eze's movement attracted a Chelsea defender, often Fofana or Hato, it opened up space elsewhere which Arsenal looked to exploit with direct passes or long balls into advanced areas. Whenever Arsenal managed to bypass Chelsea's press, their attacks were channeled toward the wings, with Martinelli and Madueke acting as the primary outlets. Both consistently attempted to beat their markers using pace and dribbling ability. Although Arsenal did not create a high volume of chances, partly due to Chelsea's press and partly because they were protecting a healthy aggregate advantage, they remained extremely dangerous in transition. Their heavy use of the wings, combined with Gyökeres' role in pinning Chelsea's defenders deep, kept Chelsea cautious throughout the match. Gyökeres himself had very limited involvement, finishing the game with just a handful of touches, the fewest of any Arsenal player. The decisive moment came in the closing stages of added time, when Arsenal executed a devastating counterattack that ended with Kai Havertz scoring against his former club, sealing a 4-2 aggregate victory and confirming Arsenal's place in the final. Overall, the match was played at a relatively controlled tempo, with both sides prioritizing defensive stability. However, Liam Rosenior appeared to show Arsenal too much respect, particularly by not starting his most dangerous attacking players, a decision that may have affected Chelsea's belief and attacking edge. Chelsea will now look to respond when they face Wolves on Saturday, while Arsenal aim to continue their momentum as they welcome Sunderland at home. If you enjoyed the analysis, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.